Welcome to our show. I'm Mitch, and this is Topo.
Jesus loves you, and so does the flying spaghetti monster.
In our last episode, we saw a fledgling home video game market go from Pong machines to the technologically advanced consoles of the second generation. Machines with microprocessors and interchangeable cartridge slots. The golden age of video games had begun.
Once the Atari 26 came out, perfection had been realized, and that was that.
Ha! Well, the arrival of the 2600 was a defining moment in video gaming history, but progress and innovation and competition had only started to amp up. In the second generation, there weren't hundreds of console competitors as there had been in the Pong console wars, but there was fierce competition. Probably the most famous rivalry of the second generation was when Mattel brought out the Intellivision Console in 1980. They started a campaign war to compete against Atari. They made infamous commercials with George Plimpton as their spokesman, touting the technological superiority of graphics over the 2600 console. It was a vicious campaign, akin to the console war that gamers in the next generation would witness between two other competitors. But we're not going to talk about the Intellivision in this episode.
'Cause you don't have one.
Instead, we're going to show two other machines that came out before the Intellivision during the late 70s to compete in the North American market. The first one is from Magnavox, the company that had started the home video game industry and had had success with a strong Pong console line. They came out with their next level machine in 1978 to compete against the 2600. It was called the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Topo, let's bring it out. Here it is. Before the Intellivision, this was the Atari 2600's biggest competitor in the market. The Odyssey marketed itself not just as a video game console, but also as a computer educational tool. It was the only console in the second generation that had its own built-in keyboard. It also has these giant vents, and it's pretty lightweight compared to its counterparts. The joystick, as you can see, is very reminiscent of the 2600s. Feels really nice and has a range of 8 different directions. This console was popular in a few different parts of the world and has a very loyal fan base. We're going to take a look at one of its games. They had very little third-party support for this console, so this game was made in-house. It's their version of Space Invaders. It's rather unique, actually. As you see at the chute, the pink min at top and also the alien that's trying to kill you, you have these moving shields on the bottom and also guns that are trying to take you out. It's a very hard game. It's really fun. Another console of the late 70s we're going to bring out wasn't as well known and didn't sell as well as the Odyssey, but it still has a fan base till this day. It didn't reach its potential in sales, but that wasn't because of its tech. This one packed a punch graphically speaking. It comes from Bally, the company that is synonymous with gaming, as it had been in the pinball machine business since the 30s. It was a little more expensive because of its graphic capabilities and didn't have a huge production run. It was only sold in computer stores.
Let's bring it out.
There she is, in all her brown and gold trim beauty. The Bally Professional Arcade. It has some of the biggest wood paneling sides I've ever seen. You see it has a small calculator style pad. They wanted to make a computer extension for this machine, but plans fell through. This top comes off and you can store the game cassettes inside here. Again, like all 70s consoles, its power supply and RF cable are hardwired in. I have a multi-cart with the complete library. So here are the Bally controllers. They're quite unique. They sort of are shaped like a gun handle that's missing the barrel. It has a really nice, easy trigger squeeze here. Very nice. And its top is not only multi-directional as a controller, but it's also a spinner. Let's take a look at one of the games for the spinner. One of my favorites, this is Bally's version of Breakout. Plays a little bit different than the 2600 version of Breakout, but it plays nice. The controllers feel really good for this. I'm quickly going to show a game using the regular controllers here. Here's a game called Solar Conqueror. This is a fun shooter game here. The Odyssey is prolific. It's easy to find. The Bally, it's a little more rare. You don't see it as much, but they're out there. And both of these consoles have a fan base that is present to this day. You know, they're very well-loved consoles. I'm very lucky to have them.
They sure are beauties.